I'm Prime Costumes, and today I'm gonna show you or teach you how to embroidery. So I am a cosplayer, as you probably know if you watch this channel for a while, and I made Ariel's fairy tale designer dress, and I completely embroidered it by hand. And since starting that project, a lot of people has asked me, can you teach me, because it looks so beautiful, and I always was like, I don't know how to teach you, because the thing is, I was never actively taught how to embroidery, because both my mom and my grandma did a lot of embroidery, so I was just taught by being shown. So that's why I decided to make a video about it, so I can show you guys how I do it. So what I want to say first before we get started is, as you hopefully already understand by this point, I don't know if my way of doing it is exactly the right way. It's just my way of doing the way I prefer to do it, so it may not work for you, but hopefully it will. So let's get started. So I'm currently making a new Ariel corset. I don't have my old one because it's sold already to a friend, so I can show you how the end result will look. Well, I can show you a picture of it, but I can show you the before and after stitching. This is how far I've gotten with the embroidery, and as you can see, I'm embroidering it on velvet. And what you need to do when you're embroidering velvet is, as you can see here, I have a fleece on top of it, and it is a water soluble fleece, because if you stitch embroidery directly on the velvet, your stitches will sink in to the fibers. So if you're embroidering velvet, fleece, fur, felt, you need to put a water soluble fleece on top. And this one was a bit expensive, but you can draw on it, which I liked. And also what I do with all my embroidery is I put it in an embroidery ring, because it helps that it's it keeps the tension on the fabric. So because how I tend to do, which I also tend to do when I would crochet or knit, is that I pull my thread too hard, so it all scrunches up and it doesn't look nice. So I put it in an embroidery ring, because then I'm sure it won't scrunches up if I put too hard on the thread. And I think it's just easier to hold, and and this fleece is supposed to stick, but over time it just doesn't stick anymore. So this will also make sure it stays where it wants to go, where it needs to be. But I have to pin it also later. As soon as I'm gonna move it, I have to pin it in place first. So yeah, maybe there's probably better fleece around, I don't know. This is what I use. I use also a different fleece when I'm doing embroidery, which is a better fleece, but you can draw on it. So yeah, do what you prefer. Use what you prefer. So okay, first things first. The embroidery thread that I like to use is DMC, and yeah, I was always taught that this is the best, it's the most easily available in my country, and my mom has a huge stock of it because she used the embroidery for an embroidery magazine. So I use DMC. There are other brands, of course, that you can use. I don't know yeah, I don't know which one is the best exactly. I was always thought DMC was the best, but maybe another is the best, maybe another is the best for your type of embroidery. So yeah, I really can't give you any points out that, except that I was always thought that DMC is the best. But I never tried any other. So if you want to on a cheaper one or a better one, you have to do some research. Sorry, I can't help you with that. So, of things is that, oh, little disclaimer actually. I'm using metallic thread for this project, but don't use metallic thread if you're a beginner, because it's a difficult one. It splices more easily, and it's, yeah, you can get kinks in it. So yeah, it isn't that easy to work with. A good example is like when I have here some normal embroidery thread, and you can see, hopefully, the back side is pretty neat. Now, if you see here, this back side isn't neat. That's because of the embroidery thread, because it's metallic. So don't use metallic embroidery thread if you're a beginner. So the thing is, when you're doing embroidery, I was taught cross stitching mostly, so this particular thing may not be for all kinds of embroidery, but it's what I was taught. But embroidery thread is actually 6 threads, so you can see 4 here, and they splice even further because it's metallic thread. But you just have to grab one strand. Now you use 2 strands, but what I do, I always grab only one, and then I fold it double. So I'm gonna get a little closer to the camera now, so hopefully you can see. So, oh, and also if you use a metallic embroidery thread, you have to use a needle with a bigger eye, because, as I said, it splices more easily, and especially when you try to thread it through your needle. So I fold it double over the needle. Excuse me. Pull the needle out, and then I hope it shows on camera this, but then I very gently do it like this, and then I fold it double and do a little knot. There are also other ways to thread a needle. You can just like grab the end and poke it in, but I don't recommend that, especially with a metallic thread, because, as said, it splices more easily, and that's the way it splices the most easy. You also have a tool to help you thread a needle. So yeah, several ways to thread a needle, but I actually assume that you already know how to thread a needle, basically. So yeah, so for the double, do a couple of knots, and you can maybe always see that metallic thread doesn't listen very well. So not a beginner thread. Okay, so I'm filming this again because I messed up the first time and it was out of frame. So take 2. That was the table. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in from the back side, and I'm gonna try to hit it at the edge of both my drawn line and the embroidery I did previously. And as you can see, it sometimes takes a couple of tries, and that's okay. That's normal. Take your time. Just relax. It's gonna look much better. when you're relaxed. And then I'm gonna go to the other side. And what I'm gonna do now is gonna you see it's giving some resistance. Oh, that's because I was. What I'm gonna do is, I hope you can see it clearly, I'm gonna loop it on the knot that we made. Because that way it's secure. Because sometimes when you just knot it, I'm using stretch fabric here. So especially with stretch fabric, when you just knot it, sometimes your knot will fall through, so to speak. You know, it slips in between the fibers, and so it becomes undone, basically. So you don't want that. So that's why I hook it on the knot, and I'm clumsy. So yeah, so now it's secure, and now I'm gonna do a few more stitches if I get a good grip on my needle. So just take your time, you know, doesn't have to be you see, I'm really struggling now a bit to get it in the right position, because this is not my optimal sewing position. Normally I'm doing it on the couch, and I'm not trying to do it in a weird angle so you guys can get as good a look as possible. But take your time, you know. That's the most important thing. And make sure there are not too much distractions, because I embroidered this at a market where I was mending a boot, so there were a lot of people there. I was trying to focus on my boot, trying to see if maybe people wanted to buy something or wanted to know more information, you know, just trying to sell things. And it is less neat than my normal work. So make sure you're relaxed, not too much distraction. I usually put on Netflix or something, just watch a movie or TV show. But don't watch something in a foreign language, you know, unless you're really good at speaking that language. But nothing that not a movie or TV series that requires too much attention to be on the screen, because then either you're not getting the whole plot, or your embroidery work will be less neat. So it's just a repeat of, yeah, basically if you can do hand stitching, you can embroidery. It's not that difficult, as long as you take your time and you know, make sure you use the right embroidery thread and stuff, you know, hoop if you're comfortable with that. Just find out what works best for you. So I have a few other tips. Make sure you have it marked. Oh wait, I'm really clumsy. Just make sure you have marked which embroidery thread you're using, so that when you need to buy more, you're not like, from which color did I buy again? They all look so similar. No, you just have the color written down, and then boom. So, and I like, when I'm on the go, I like to put my embroidery thread and my scissors in a little pouch. This used to be a camera bag for my old camera, but this camera doesn't fit in it, so little pouch. And I put that pouch and my embroidery in a plastic bag before I put it in my handbag if I'm gonna embroidery on the go or at my mom's place or something, because then I make sure that my embroidery work stays clean and neat, you know, because if you just put it in your handbag like that, it can get stuck on a zipper, or maybe you spill your drink, or there are chocolate crumbs in your bag, or whatever. Just put it on the bag to keep it nice and clean and safe. So yeah, I think those were the tips I had. Yeah, I think that's the most important stuff covered. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below, or just send me a message. You can also send me just a message. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thank you!